if you don't go to church, it may feel like church is kind of a private club. Well, Jesus taught that God's house is for you. Jesus said, God's house of prayer is for everyone. Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest the Jesus way. Today's Jesus said comes from Matthew 21 and 13, but we're going to read a little bit more for some context here. Reading from the NLT translation, Jesus entered the temple and began to drive out all the people buying and selling animals for sacrifice. He knocked over the tables of the money changers and the chairs of those selling doves, and he said to them, "The scriptures declare, my temple will be called a house of prayer, but you have turned it into a den of thieves." Now let's read a similar passage from Mark, in Mark 11, 15 through 17. When they arrived back in Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple and began to drive out the people buying and selling animals for sacrifices. He knocked over the tables of the money changers and the chairs of those selling doves, and he stopped everyone from using the temple as a marketplace. He said to them, "The scriptures declare, my temple will be called a house of prayer for all nations, but you have turned it into a den of thieves." Now, this story is not an excuse for our own anger. You've probably heard, especially in these times, well, even Jesus turned over the tables in the temple. And yes, he did, but he had been teaching in those same kinds of temples and other synagogues for more than 3 years. He also walked on water and raised the dead. Okay, so self-righteous anger is easy. Walking on water? Well, let's see you do that before qualifying yourself to turn over tables in the temple. The real story here is, why did Jesus do this? What was so wrong that the Son of God, who never defended himself, went on the offense? Well, this story is in all 4 of the gospel accounts. And in the book of John, we get some more insight. In John 2:17, then his disciples remembered this prophecy from the scriptures: "Passion for God's house will consume me." That is the point of this scenario of Jesus in the temple. This was all about God's house, which was intended to be for everyone, for all nations, for all kinds of people. But Jesus saw something that was very wrong, and Jesus called it a marketplace. You see, there were money changers in the temple at this time who changed the standard Greek and Roman money for Jewish coins. It made for a more convenient sacrifice, but they were missing the point. It had become a business. God's house today is not represented by physical buildings that we call church, but it's supposed to be about us, being the temple of God, and that we're supposed to be a marketplace for everyone, not just offering incomplete sacrifices of convenience. Sometimes our worship has become like a business. Yeah, I said it. And many people who are far from God think church is just all about getting money and that they're not welcome. Well, maybe we do need to turn over some tables in our own hearts. Are you worshiping God when it's only convenient? Is everyone welcome, or only people like you? Well, Jesus said, God's house of prayer is for everyone. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it really means a lot. If you like it, if you share it, if you comment, I really appreciate you. Hope that you have an amazing day. And I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.